I'm Sonya Morton Firth and you're watching the Sonya Morton Firth Show. Today my guest is Andrew Powell. Andrew runs Healthier Heroes, established in 2018 to help support veterans and their families by providing housing, education, counselling and much more. After leaving the army, he struggled to find his identity. Jobless and facing divorce, he hit rock bottom and attempted to take his own life. Now his mission is to unite, inspire and help others believe anything is possible. Andrew, thank you so much for being a guest on my show. It's lovely to have you here, even though it's through Zoom, this modern day technology.
No, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
And Andrew, we were meant to meet face to face, and then, you know, something happened and you told me that you had a veteran in crisis at the time that needed your help quite urgently. Tell me a little bit more about what you do and how you help veterans.
So it started a number of years ago, really, when we kind of fell into a role where we was asked to help a local authority in delivering their armed forces service to the borough. So that saw us, you know, working with a number of veterans and their families, whether that was, you know, kind of that list there behind me, you know, supporting with housing, counselling support and education, employment or training. And that kind of evolved from, you know, a project that started with absolutely nothing then to evolving into something that was absolutely incredible. And, you know, it saw us looking after, you know, in excess of, you know, kind of 200 veterans. And as a wider project that started before we started, that the borough had looked after, you know, quite a significant amount of veteran families in, you know, historically as well.
So where does how is Healthy Heroes transformed today? Because I know you've recently taken on quite a new premises in Burnley. Is that right? Well, when I say recently, sort of earlier on in lockdown.
Yeah, so it's kind of evolved from running that project from Greater Manchester to then moving, as you said, to Lancashire. So what we've been able to do is we kind of looked at a gap in service whereby, you know, various little veteran groups were delivering what they were delivering, whether that was, you know, on a small basis or a medium scale basis, but there was nothing on the scale of which we're delivering that was bespokely for veterans or the armed forces community. So we set out to find a building, and we eventually found a building that we have currently that's under renovation, and it's going to be complete in about a week and a half's time. And historically, it was used as a hostel for women and children. So in terms of the building itself, it was absolutely perfect for our use. So yeah, it's almost open.
Now tell me, because I mean, you provide some fantastic services, but when we last spoke, you were actually dealing with a potential suicide attempt. So on a much more serious note, do you have any facts or figures in terms of within the veteran community of suicide rates, and obviously what's happening now with mental health issues becoming exacerbated because of the times we're living in because of COVID?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have facts and figures because I don't tend to kind of work on them, but there obviously has been a significant amount of veterans that have taken their own lives this year. And in actual fact, in the last week within our area, there's been a further 2 veterans who have taken their own lives. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard work, but you know, organisations like mine and others, you know, constantly, you know, work so hard and tirelessly to do what we can do to support those in need. And you know, in terms of mental health, yes, you know, COVID-19 has had a huge impact on people's mental health. You know, that, you know, it's so for us, it's about the reduction of social isolation, but COVID is ensured that social isolation is there.
Yeah. So how are you dealing with veterans that are going through these issues? What sort of advice do you give them?
So different sorts of advice, whether that's just being a befriender as a peer mentor on the phone, or I tend to go out, so I do a lot of outreach work. So you know, you can't really give that person-centered approach advice unless you're in person, clearly. So I like to be out there on the ground, helping and supporting people where possible. So, you know, it's literally from just having someone to bend my ear and have a chat, or work with them with the statutory NHS services or other services that they might be engaging to get the best possible result from them. So we do absolutely anything we can.
Well, I mean, that's absolutely, you're doing an amazing, amazing job. But where did your motivation and inspiration stem from? Because you were once, well, you're a veteran yourself. Can you tell me a little bit more about sort of the inspiration behind Healthier Heroes?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose in terms of helping people, it stems back to my childhood, really. You know, I had quite a difficult upbringing. I was born in a military family. My dad was in the army at the time. Family breakdown when I was a lot younger. Not engaging in education, antisocial behaviour, and, you know, doing the things I shouldn't have done, and fundamentally left school with no qualifications at all. And therefore joined the military at 16 to kind of get away from all of those adverse childhood experiences that I'd faced, and as well as being kind of homeless for a while at the age of 14 when I left home. So it was quite difficult. And healthier.
I was just about to say, do you mind me asking how you were homeless at 14? What got you to that stage?
It was a family breakdown. A lot of issues within my family, which resulted in me leaving, because the situation couldn't be resolved. So I made myself homeless, for want of a better word, but I couldn't be within that sort of environment anymore.
How did you cope at the age of 14?
Not very well. Not very well at all. Obviously, that then had an impact on my education. You know, I started doing things that I shouldn't have been doing as a young child. I then sought to seek my real father at the time, which again I did find him, but that didn't turn out very well. So in terms of that rejection, you know, I had rejection all my life. I had the rejection at 14 by leaving my home, hoping to find some sort of solace and family unit again with my real father, and that never worked out again. So, you know, another form of rejection, and the only sort of get out for me was to join the army, which would provide me with that family environment.
And talking about, if we can talk about your army days, because you were there for a number of years. How many tours were you on? Whilst you were there, whilst you spent time in the army?
Yeah, so I'd done 16 years. I joined as a young boy at 16-year-old. Left in 2013. So I've been to Iraq, Afghanistan, Northern Ireland, Cyprus. You know, been many tours, you know, operational or not, right the way across the country, it's been amazing. I enjoyed it. You know, I really enjoyed my time in the military. Yeah, but it was just my time to leave in 2013.
So, Andrew, do you think the army provided you with the feeling of inclusion that you missed as a child?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. You know, you go into a family, big, massive family unit, which you therefore then become a small team or a large team of men who take you under their wing and look after you and support you, and that becomes your lifestyle and family for the rest of your career.
So, what happened when you left the army? Was it an easy transition into civilian life?
Initially, no, because I mean, I left the military again because I had, you know, another hurdle of rejection, if you will. My ex-wife at the time, she had an affair while I was away in Afghanistan, and I came back to find all that out, and that's then when my whole life crashed around me. I lost my family, my children, my home, and ended up being, you know, at the age of, I can't even remember what I was now, 30 something. Living back at home, and that was a massive hurdle for me, and that's kind of then when I went down another bit of a dark road as well.
When you say dark road, was there any point that you contemplated your own death, your own?
Yeah, so I turned to drinking quite a lot, and, you know, sort of dabbled in drugs. And, yes, I did attempt my own life at one stage with a horse bike. Yeah, so it was horrible. It was a horrible place to be.
I mean, with the hose pipe, do you want to recount the details, or is it?
I mean, I just felt like there was just nowhere for me to go. I had no place in my life. You know, I was again rejected for the umpteenth time, and I just felt like everybody else around would be better off without me. So yeah, I tried to take my own life.
So what was that turning point? Because it sounds like you'd hit rock bottom, right? What was that turning point? Because look at you now, you're doing absolutely amazing things. But it sounds like you almost needed to hit that rock bottom. And I've talked to a number of veterans that have, that have gone on and gone through adversities, challenges, PTSD, whatever. And it's almost like it's that hitting that bottom place and how they turn themselves around.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite ironic, really. I mean, I laugh when people say, what kind of brought you back out of it? Because obviously, at the age of 14, I left home. I never spoke to my mum for over 10 years because of the things that went on. And then obviously, I rekindled that relationship with my mum. And if you were to ever meet my mum, she's about 5'2", quite a small lady, and she took a slipper off one day and belted me around the head and said, "Sonya, you need to sort your life out." So it was my mum that
as well.
got me out of it. Yeah.
And look at you now, and you've gone on and you're helping others. I mean, do you think the government does enough to help veterans that are coming out, that have finished serving and coming out into civilian world?
I think for me, I think the government they're doing a lot more than they've ever done. They really are. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. There's a lot of things to sort of get right in the communities, get right within government. There is a lot more being done for them. Everyone would suggest that there's not enough being done. There is more to be done, but it needs to come, and it'll come in time. So I think the important thing for me is, I'll never stand here and say that the army broke people. Fundamentally, people chose the careers that they chose, and they went through the adversities and struggles that they went through whilst in service and when they come out. I think the important thing for me, it's about the support. So it's now about building the resilience back in veterans. Well, not putting any blame on anybody, building that resilience back in themselves and others to then, fundamentally become, a positive role model back in their communities and be the person they once was again.
And there are so many examples of that. I mean, I've spoken to a number of amazing role models, and talking about what's going on today, and having veterans having gone through challenges and adversities when they've been on tours and faced death, and then we're now in this situation where a lot of people are facing mental health issues because of what we're going through, and lockdowns, etc., and financial crises, and being on the streets. I think there is a lot that veterans can offer, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you interviewed a friend of mine a few weeks ago, Andy Reid. He's absolutely brilliant bloke.
Amazing.
An epitome of, resilience and overcoming adversity. That guy is absolutely incredible. And, I turn to him, quite often to help others. And we work very well together. So, Andy's an amazing guy. And, you just look at Andy and, listen to his journey. And others can utilise that as a means of recovery to say, and it's that word there, believe. So my motto is unite as one, inspire one another, and believe anything's possible.
I love it.
Because it is.
It is, absolutely, absolutely. So if somebody's watching this and they want to help in some way, first of all, how do you get funding for what you do?
Yeah, very hard. So other than the normal funding streams that people apply for through the Armed Forces Covenant Trust Fund, the National Lottery, European Social Fund, local authority funding. So that's a big one for me. I'm currently engaging with the local authorities to support us even more, to provide this, this service across Lancashire. You know, I've had many MPs come down to Bancroft House, as it's called now, to support us and say that this absolutely needs to happen. In actual fact, today I had a gentleman on our because I'm doing a 2-day volunteering training sessions, and a gentleman approached me a few weeks ago. I won't mention his name, but he was a philanthropist, and he wanted to come and support us. And within an hour and a half of me presenting and finishing, he came up and said, "I need to confess, I am not who I said I am." He's here from presenting local authorities across Lancashire, and was coming to basically see if we are who we are and do what we do. And he's gone away today, and hopefully he's going to press some buttons and make a lot of things happen for us, because he was quite impressed.
That's fantastic. Do you have a link or something if somebody wants to donate or give money or to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can. I can fire you a link for our Just Giving page. We're trying to raise £5,000, and I think we've got about £1,300 in there at the minute, and that's to support veterans and their families through COVID and post-COVID, whenever that might be. To support them with their mental health. And even yesterday, a local supermarket, Morrison's, have just donated 100 hours psychological therapy.
That's amazing.
To support veterans.
Definitely, Andrew. I'll take the link and I'll put it in the show notes, and when we post this out onto social media, so anyone that's watching this can donate, because you're doing an absolutely amazing job. And as you say, it's things on well, it's just exacerbated by everything that we're going through right now. And we've had Remembrance Sunday, we've got the 11th coming up, and with people not just even passing poppy sellers at the moment because there isn't the footfall. It's like, how are veterans going to be how are we going to get money to people that need it right now?
Yeah, and we've had huge amounts of support from the community, not just the armed forces community, but the community in general, who have donated so generously. I mean, last night we put on an Amazon wish list, and I got a message off somebody who will remain anonymous, but they cleared the whole list out for us, because again, they're saying, as a member of the community, that veterans don't get supported enough, and this service will provide all of that.
That's fantastic. And when are you actually providing the mental health services yourself? Do you get external?
Yeah, so I have two internal NLP counsellors who are working for us. One's on 3-day weeks and the other one's on the 2 days. So we have that integral mental health support, which can act immediately, whilst then engaging with statutory services, so linking in with military veteran service, the TIL service, and now the new veterans high intensity service as well. So yes, we'll provide that sort of counselling support directly from within the building.
And a lot of the cases you're seeing related to PTSD.
So yeah, a lot of the cases are PTSD, but it's also a mixture of kind of my history and background through adverse childhood experiences, historic sexual abuse or family relationship breakdowns. Then again, exacerbated by the military history, and then if they've left with a diagnosis of PTSD, all of that combined is quite an atom bomb waiting to go off. And when it does, it can be quite catastrophic to the individual and those around them. So I think, this is not just about supporting veterans. It's really important for us that we, also focus on the families.
Yes.
The families are the ones who take the brunt of, mental health and addiction. So it's just as important to support them as well.
Completely agree. Absolutely. The families that are supporting, the veterans, they're suffering just as much in a different way. But yeah, so you're actually supporting the families and giving them advice and to best deal with the situations.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a member of staff who is our complex peer mentor. So he looks after the veterans who are struggling with a complex mental health, and then I've got a targeted support mentor who looks after the families and the children. Then, so we've got different sort of case workers dealing with different people, but providing them with the same level of service, albeit targeted around their specific needs or requirements.
Do you think the homeless numbers and amongst veterans has gone up, or are we seeing it, is it just stayed the same?
I think in terms of the homelessness numbers, all the local authorities across the UK have obviously got a bit of a directive to reduce homelessness, but there is still a large number of homeless veterans out there that are unheard of or they're not seen. And it was only a week ago I got a message off a lady in the community telling me that there's a veteran living in a shed and has been there the last 6 months. And so we're now helping and supporting him. It's homelessness is still a big issue, and it's only going to get worse.
Do you think it's easy for veterans to ask for help?
No.
Because there are services out there, but is it a matter of us being able to market the services more, or is it because of the veteran themselves finding it difficult to actually maybe come to terms with their mental health issues, or come to terms with actually asking somebody for help? I mean, I haven't served and I'm not a man, but and for women it's very different. But I'm guessing there is a certain amount of maybe pride involved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's very difficult to accept help as a veteran. And it's very much that, it's the pride thing. You're always told to man up when you're in the military and kind of just get on with things. And yeah, there are services out there, and there's a lot of very, very good services. That in terms of like other services, veterans tend to open up more with veteran services as well. You've all been through that journey. You've all been on operational tours. You can empathise and sympathise with the situation. You can relate to certain stories that they might tell you about specific war zones or conflicts that they've been in. So it kind of makes that whole transition of their recovery a lot easier for them. But yes, they fundamentally have got to accept the fact that they've either one got a mental health issue or they've got some form of addiction issue. And the minute that they accept that, that's the start of their recovery. Absolutely. Other than the fact of obviously coming forward and asking for the help anyway.
And if somebody was watching this and they were on the verge of wanting to ask for help, but they just didn't know how to, is there anything that you can say to them?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the way to deal with it is to speak to people. There are many, many organisations out there across the UK that are supporting veterans. There are many organisations out there that do tremendous work online and providing 24-hour phone line support and counselling. Just please pick up that phone and speak to somebody, because that's the first step forward. And, as much as you feel like there isn't an out here or an exit, that's probably because you don't know how to do that, and somebody else on the end of that phone will be able to give you some form of direction.
So Andrew, what's next for you? I mean, you're doing an absolutely amazing job. I guess none of us really know how long. Well, they say lockdown, will come out on the 2nd of December. Who knows if we're going to go back into another one? What do you see for the future ahead?
I mean, for me, we open our doors on the 5th of December. So we've already got a number of veterans lined up already to come into our accommodation. And literally 10 minutes before you called me, I managed to put a veteran into a mental health unit about a month ago. And he's just rang me to say, can he come and live with us? So the numbers are increasing for us. So I think the project for us at the minute is our main focus to get it right, to get the people in, to get the help and support required to get the amount of veterans and families across Lancashire supported in the best possible way. But this is not just about me as an organisation. It's like a huge jigsaw piece, is this. My organisation doesn't hold all the answers. It's about multi-agency support working with all those other groups and people to create the best possible solution. And that's the important thing. Doesn't become onerous.
Absolutely. And I've spoken to a couple of people that have got regional setups slightly similar to your own, that are really helping their local environments and their local communities. And as you said, like a jigsaw puzzle, if you can all sort of link up, you know, the more is stronger than the one, whatever the expression is. But certainly, and if there are other organizations
Yeah.
that help with transition into work and things like that as well, do you get involved with that sort of side of things?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And just to kind of go back a little bit there, you know, in terms of that, you know, working with other groups and organisations, there were a veteran in Hull who on Sunday got in touch with us on Remembrance Day as well. On Remembrance Sunday, sorry. He'd been in his flat with no food for a week, gone through somebody else to come to me for the support, and I literally picked up the phone to Paul Matson at Hull for Heroes, sent the referral through, and within an hour and a half, that guy had food on his table.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? So when it works amazingly well. It really does.
Wow, Andrew.
Sorry, I forgot what your question was, Sonya.
No, that was it. It was basically about collaboration and also whether you provide help to transition into work for the veterans.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's the fundamental end game for us, is that a veteran will come through and live and be supported by us, and then when they leave, then they leave with education, employment, training opportunities. So we've got a number of employers and recruiters that work with us to provide work, varying descriptions, from lorry driving to working on COVID testing sites, you know, to working in warehouses. You know, the plethora of possibility for any veteran is there for them. So yeah, we absolutely do that, and we educate them as well. So we're working with a college, Lancashire Adult Learning, and they're providing all our educational courses, not just for staff and volunteers, but for anyone that we're supporting as well, so they get all that education as well.
It sounds amazing, Andrew. And presumably it's not just you doing all this. Have you got a team of people, a team of volunteers?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we've got so there's me and my wife, two other members of staff, three other members of staff, and then a board of trustees as well. So I think it's important that I, you know, sort of get held accountable as well to make sure that we're doing things the right and proper way. And then, like I said, you know, today was day one of 2 days of a volunteering training session. So I had, you know, 22 volunteers today turn up from across the community who want to help and support us. But that's of those that were allowed to attend, because obviously COVID, but the numbers were far greater than that. So we've got a huge amount of support through volunteering and staff as well. What keeps you going, Andrew? What keeps me going? I don't want anybody else to be in that position that I was in, and what keeps me going is seeing an end result and a positive outcome of working with somebody. One of my volunteers today is now in stage 2 recovery, who I kind of picked up through his journey, and he's been free from drink for 190 days. You know, so seeing success like that is what absolutely spurs me on. And just think of where you were in your childhood and how you've completely turned your life around. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. You're going on to help people. I mean, honestly, it really is. And I'm saying thank you, but the rest, I'm sure, of the veteran community and people out there should be, you know, looking to people like you. I mean, yeah, it's amazing. You're doing amazing work, Andrew. And look, I will put all the I'll put all the links on there. I just want to say, well, finally, I asked this question, although I think you've sort of answered it, and that is, if you were to write a message in a bottle for future generations to find, what would that message be? My logo. Unite as one, inspire one another, and believe anything is absolutely possible. Andrew, thank you so much for your time today. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, there's a new interview out every Monday, so hit subscribe and like, and you'll get it straight into your inbox.